Namaste. I welcome you into this module which will be discussing about an open source digital library software called DSpace. And the case study will be discussed to understand how a digital library software is working. To start with, or to recollect what we learned from the other module, let me remind you the terms we used to define digital library. A digital library is a place, or it's a software where digital content are managed. So by using the software, you can create a digital library so that for user it will appear like a library. They can search, they can browse, they can try to find out based on some terms, keywords, and get the content, the digital content from the server. So this was already discussed, various features. And we have a classical example of one software, which is an open source software, which is free to download. The source code can be also edited for our requirement. We can customize our interface according to our need. All that will be discussed in this case study. And this software, I told, it's open source. So you must be aware that it's based on a kind of open philosophy of freedom and sharing to create an open models. So when I'm talking about open, the philosophy of open has this free and open. That is open source, open access, open standard. This creates to an open movement. Why we choose DSpace as a case study? The DSpace belongs to this philosophy. DSpace is free, DSpace source code is open, and once you create your digital library using DSpace, you can also make that as on open access mode. And DSpace use some of the open standards for sharing. That we'll come to know about it. So once you create a digital library, you can still use it as like blog, or you can make it as something like Wikipedia, which is known to you, and people can contribute. You can invite people to contribute to your digital library. So we use the term wikis for that when you are creating content. So DSpace can be used that. And to just refresh your memory about digital library as well as open source, we have a lot of open source software related to library. So I just named few, like Koha is a library automation software, NewGenLib is a library automation software which we discussed in other modules, and we have other open source software for digital library called Greenstone, ePrint, and something called Fedora is an open source. ePrint and everything is discussed. Greenstone is discussed in another module. So here we will be focusing on how DSpace is different, or how DSpace is more useful than any other software for. Because DSpace, if you look at its development, I'll discuss it later, but the development in this digital library software is going very progressively, and the versions are coming quite often in the recent past. Working with any open source software, you have a teething problem that you should understand the technical know-how of installation and customization. Because of these issues, generally users or librarians, they are a little scared to use an open source software. But once the teething problem is over, you know that a child, when he gets a new teeth, he has to bear some kind of pain. So the same pain is required while installing, customizing and building it. But once it is over, you enjoy the normal way of eating the food and enjoy the taste of all food because your teeth are strong. So like that, once you are overcoming the teething issues, digital library, you can use any open source software. And there are priced digital library software also. But if you look at the price of any of the commercial package, it is very, very huge. Even a library cannot think of budgeting it in their normal budget. There are a lot of services. This slide will show you. Digital library have different service and related works. And why we require software for digital library? Because we have to organize the digital information in a particular manner, organized manner, in such a way that information can be retrieved just by a mouse click. Or you enter the text or keywords or any phrases which is to be taken from the digital library, enter it and search for it. For this we need organization of digital information, then information retrieval, then you need to have a fairly good user interface. A digital common open source software is used, the front page of the software or front page which is created as a default page will look similar. So we can customize according to, like I would prefer to see my digital library with my institute logo, with some of the welcome messages which are related to my institute, or a banner which explain what this digital library is about. Such kind of user interface has to be created. And then whatever you are submitting as a digital content, that has to be archived and preserved for further use. Then we start giving the services. Then there are social issues like copyright issues, digital content management issues, IPR issues, and these issues are to be also addressed when we are digitizing and putting into a server. And evaluation and application to specific area. Digital library can be tailor-made to a specific area. That maybe biotechnology, we have a kind of all biotechnology material in one server, or microbiology we will have another server, information science we have, or all this can be together also. That is to be a decision which generally at a policy level to be taken. So digital library building up incorporate all this. Before we go on to installing a software, we have to address and make a solution or at least clear understanding of all these related matters like a policy guidelines or license issues. All this should be made first, then we start going for the digital library. And what expectations are there from the digital library solution apart from library automation? First and foremost, I should say that it is with respect to the cost effectiveness. The money we spent on digital library. We need to spend money for hardware. In addition, we have to spend for software. Then every year we have to spend for maintenance. If we purchase special hardware related digital library solutions, we have to give cost for maintenance, we have to update the software, or we have to depend on somebody. And once you have a digital library open source software, the cost is absolutely saved. You don't need to take. Then technically it's simple to install and manage. That is another advantage. With a basic training on installation, maybe 1 or 2 hours training on installation, anybody can, who are little IT savvy, can install it. And it is robust in nature because it is generally made on the kind of international standards. Tomorrow the digital library may grow up, the storage area may grow up, so there should be a possibility of scaling up content. So there this software will help you, because many of the open source software for the digital library address the issues of scaling up. And I have a classical example of more than 14,000 theses, digital content, digitized and put into this platform, which I will show you in the later stage of my presentation. This should be able to interoperable. If a digital repository, digital library is created, when you create a repository for an institute, we call it as IR, institution repository. So when IR is created, there should be one IR should be able to share data with another IR. So that is what is called interoperability. And we expect this from digital library, best digital library solution. And it should be modular. If you want something to add, that should be added. Or if you want something to remove it, that should be removed. and user friendliness. Everybody likes that. It should be very simple to use, like any other simple mailing program or other search engine. It should be so simple to use it. Then multi-user, both aspect that many users should be able to get it from the digital library. And platform independent in a sense, the DSpace which you are going to install, that should be accessible either from Windows platform or Macintosh platform or Linux platform. So the software should be able to deliver to any kind of platform. That is part is called platform independent. And digital library nowadays comes with lot of multimedia digital content or objects. This multimedia digital object also has videos, audio visuals, animations, picture, images, manuscript. So the format is not just text like ebooks. Generally in a library we will see that a lot of books, that 80-90% of the collections are printed books, or which is able to read. But while coming to the digital content, there are quite a few things. But in modern digital library, you will see that this kind of multimedia digital objects are more. And with that preface for digital libraries, what we expect from digital library, we have a software here called DSpace. Generally it is written as D capital, S capital, then all other small letter. So people try to define it as a digital space or a space where digital content is stored. Whatever name is derived, whatever way, it's a digital library software. It's an open source digital library software. And the DSpace web page says that there are at least 6 good reasons to use DSpace. The one is that there are large number of communities who are using DSpace, so you get technical help from anybody. Second, it is free, no cost involved. Third one, it is customizable easily. And all institutions, whether it is college, university, or a research lab, any institution can use this. And DSpace use out-of-box installation. You download everything, there is a step, and start installing it. So out-of-box, it is available as a digital library server for you. And this can be used for almost any digital content. And content in details I will tell you. So if you try for a definition, what is DSpace stand for? DSpace is to capture, distribute, search, retrieve digital content, and preserve the digital content. So capture the digital items in any format. It could be text, it could be video, it could be data or data sets, maybe a little bit of software content, images, animations, any kind of content which you can capture it, and it can be distributed over a web after indexing the content. And that is why DSpace is very popular. So DSpace is used generally for creating institutional repository. When it is related to institutional repository, you can imagine that it is nothing but small version of digital library for the institute. And this has 3 roles from the above definition. It facilitates capture and ingest of material, including metadata. When a piece of digital content is stored in that, we need to have corresponding metadata. Metadata is nothing but a bibliographic data to identify this content, a data of data. And second is easy access to the material, both by listing or searching, that is browsing and searching. And third one is there should be a long-term preservation of this material. So these are the 3 main characteristics DSpace has and it can use to implement. DSpace is a joint project of MIT, and it is always appreciated if you give the credit to the developer. It is developed by Massachusetts Institute of Technology Libraries along with the Hewlett Packard Labs. And now new foundation taken over the development work of it. It is called DuraSpace. But we always give credit to these 3, MIT, HP and DuraSpace. And if you look at the history of DSpace, it started its development creation somewhere in year 2000. Part of this HP-MIT alliance. HP and MIT came together. They thought that something should be given to the society and what best a digital library solution. Then the first version released in 2002, and respectively every year 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 up to 11 you can see that 1.0 version to 1.8. And if you look at the development 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, almost 10 years the version number 1 that is 1.0 to 1.8 was there. After 2011, then you can see that the version 2 happened between 11 and 15. After this 1.0, 1.2, they started the naming convention like 3, 4, 5, 6. So 12 to 15, the version 3 was available, that is 3.0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And after that, 2013 to 16, the 4 version was valid, DSpace 4. And 15 to 16, March, the last 2 version of 5 came in March, that is 5.5. In this year, 2016, because we are recording in 2016, right now we are in November, and the latest version, I should say, the stable version, 7 is already there, but latest stable version, which is released in October 2016. So look at the development releasing history of DSpace. You will see that in the recent past, almost in every month, something is added and a new version is getting released. We do suggest that if you are going for a new digital library software, try to have DSpace 6. And key factors to adopt: open source and freely available, create and support, easy to use, as all this we mentioned, can handle multitude digital format, and any institution can use. Or another very important aspect of it, if your digital library is in a public IP address which is having a domain name, popular Google Scholar search engine, this Google Scholar generally search for the research content. The Google Scholar can search inside your repository, so that DSpace support Google Scholar search if it is on public domain. And now let us see what are the materials to go. I told any material. So some of the things which you can think of: your journal paper, data sets, electronic thesis report, conference posters, videos, images, statistical data, animations, all these are listed, which can go as a digital content into DSpace. And development model, I will not take much time on this because this is important for the developer, but it is a BSD license. This open source is, even it is free, but there is a license that, so there is an open source free license that is called BSD for that. And source code control repository, they are the community which control the source code, committers, community, and email list for support. Any issues comes in DSpace, there are a lot of groups where you can put it. That is how we develop our technical expertise. Then DSpace information model, how DSpace organize the digital content. DSpace treat it as a community. Community is a research unit of an organization. It could be a department, it could be a college. Like Shodhganga, we have university. Under university, there could be a department or a college or a research center, these 3 categories. And that could come into this. So communities, under community there are collections, then under that there is item like thesis, then thesis split into chapters. And it stores in the DSpace server as bit streams. Bit streams, you know that zeros and ones it is stored, not as PDF file or document. Whatever you are depositing, it will not store as its original format. DSpace take care of split into zeros and ones, store it, so that even somebody hack your hard disk, people cannot get the content. Possible that storage material can be taken and connect to somewhere and take it. It's not possible, you have to have DSpace on that. Now community and collection relations are as shown in the picture. Community, sub-community, and collection. And sub-community can have, so we can have a sub-community, or we can directly from community collection. Then item, bundle streams. This is one example. In communities and collection, we have institutional document, record, and there you can see institutional documents contain the annual report, magazine, bills, other document, tender document, all this kind of syllabus for colleges or lecture notes, all this comes as a different collections in that. These institutional documents are called our scientific contribution. In here it is titled. This is what is called communities, or whatever is given inside that, it is called collections. Now, taking an example of Shodhganga, I will show the home screen later. Here, university and department. You can see that first university, Ajarya is there, or Aligarh Muslim University, all the department under there. So one is dot collections, other is community. Now let us see what is item. Items are logical units of content. As far as Shodhganga is concerned, it's a thesis chapter or it's a certificate or it's a bibliographic data, or it could be any of the reference site or list of table content. All these are the logical units. But metadata is what you are referring to, that like who is the researcher, under whom it is conducted, and what is the title of it, is there any alternate title, when it is award date, and is there any unique handler, one URL or URI for your thesis. All this are defined in the metadata. So all items have qualified double-link or metadata items in this. So example, thesis, web page, book, photograph. Now item composition, we have the metadata in the top of it, and the item we will be having bit streams. So here if you look at that, the bit stream is this, installing DSpace hands-on.pdf. It's a bit stream data, it's a PDF file, and this is what is called metadata. Item metadata, descriptive. I told that doubling core is the basic meta. Doubling core are 15 elements. If you learn the library science fundamentals, doubling core has 15 elements, and we can take an element and qualify it further. So like the 15 elements, additional qualified elements. So we have almost qualified 32 elements for describing the thesis metadata. So if you are using book, it will be another set. If you are using video, it will be another metadata. That depending upon your requirement, you have to decide what should be the metadata. If you are not very sure, I do suggest you use the default metadata structure of DSpace. It's also very well defined. So here qualified doubling core is used. Non-qualified doubling core is also supported. Means if you are not following doubling core, then also you can use it. Any other format may add to bitstream. But the problem is that if you are creating a new metadata element, that may not be searchable when you are using a standard for interchanging and interoperability. The additional field which you add may not work. Otherwise, there are some technical issues which you have to address. Now, there is an administrative module who can access. Now, administrative design, who can edit metadata, who can submit content, who can submit and edit it, who can merge finally into this. This is the administrative, and these details are also stored in a database. And structure is very basic, bitstream content item. So here the bitstreams are individual digital file, name, file format, size. These are the metadata for bitstreams. So PDF can be there. Where if you are using normal thesis, we use searchable PDF files. You can document file also, you can upload it. JPEG, if an image, it can be JPEG file. But we do always suggest go for any open standards. Don't, like if you want to store any content, store it as an HTML or XML file, not as just a doc file. Doc is required to open with a proper software. CSS file, and bundles are group related to bitstream. So you put all this together, HTML files and image that compose a single HTML command organized into bundle. An example of bundles are original, thumbnails, licensing, text, everything bundles together, and generally all this except thumbnail. This will be very common for all the content. I don't want to discuss the architecture in detail, but if you look at our DSpace architecture, we have taken it from DSpace documentation site. This works in 3 layers. First layer in the storage API and down layer, where the data actually is stored. We have an RDBMS package, RDBMS relational database management, which is used to store the content, digital content. That is PostgreSQL. So this is PostgreSQL is an SQL database management server, which is working as storing all the content in DSpace. And you can use an RDBMS wrapper with a connectivity, JDBSC, to extract this data and give it to the business logic. Business logic, you will have groups, history manager, workflow, searching, indexing, everything, content management, authorization, everything is in the business logic level. And finally, it goes to a user interface. That is where user is concerned. User can get a screen in a computer where he can use a web-based user interface or any service or any metadata harvesting services to get into this digital. I think I am going little technical, but to understand simply, your data is stored in database. The control business layer, community layer is in the middle, and finally when user try to access, he can have different method to access the data in the DSpace. That is how DSpace architecture is maintained. and maintain what metadata field may exist for an item in DSpace. So metadata, there are three components: element, qualifier, and scope. So if I take it now, element is the second, contributor.advisor, and what is the scope of that, and this. So this is how a metadata registry is there. So you can this contributor.advisor equal to quotation mark what is the content, what is that metadata entry. And when you open a web page, go to the right click, see the source code, you will see some of the tags there, what is metadata header and all that. That is how it is defined. And search engine, these are the very valid information to search for a data. And maintain a registry of file format, whether it is supported, known or unknown. Because unknown file format, if it is stored, user will have a problem in opening it. We have these issues. Many times now thesis, especially in the regional language thesis, they create the content with the regional font, like Hindi, Assamese, Malayalam, Tamil. They use their own regional font and script to create the content. We upload it because it's a digital file. When a user try to open it, they don't have that same regional font, so they get a format. So supported is that always preferable to use. And let us make a policy for that, what kind of document can be submitted on that. So that is what is the file format. Then any user who directly administer, control or submit, they are called as e-people in DSpace. So DSpace user accounts are called e-people. And if permitted, that is the privilege, you have to define the privilege for each person. He can log into the site and sign up for the notification or submit new item, administer collection community, and administer the complete DSpace, including taking backup. So a simple user like Shodhganga, we do not ask anybody to register because it's put in public content. Anybody can come search, they can view, they can download, they can share, they can also copy, they can print it, no restriction. But DSpace also allows restriction. If you put restriction, then DSpace will ask somebody searching, they will ask kindly try to log in. So if that is the case, you have to log in to see the content. So log into the site is the first one for user. Second one is you can set a notification. Any new item comes, you get a notification. That provision is there. And third and fourth, generally submitting, administering, all these are related to the management of DSpace. Generally this is not available to public because anybody can change the content. So submission to interface is restricted. Shodhganga we allow only university coordinator or a valid register user to submit one thesis only. And the university coordinator, generally they are librarian or research dean or people working in the research division. They can submit any number. So we give them a privilege of submitting document every time. If a single user, he can register, submit only once. Then after that, that account becomes invalid. So this is how e-people, the different privileges or workflow of DSpace. And little bit on DSpace, that is the authorization. DSpace authorization system can enable administrator, that is the supervisor, to give any people who register, e-people, ability to perform some of the operation like add, remove. Like he can remove a person, you can remove an item, or he can add an item. Or collection administrator, he can create community, he can collect metadata, he can edit metadata, he can withdraw an item. This is also can be given separately. And he can write, that means he can create an e-person and give with the other permission, or just to give read permission. Enable a e-person to read only bitstream, he cannot edit it. So that is what is that. Injection is getting content into DSpace, that is submission to DSpace is called injection. By default, DSpace use 7 steps for submission. So many a time needs to be specific format, XML or you can have bulk also, but you have to define the code for that. This in Shodhganga, which is using DSpace, we have customized the interface for submitting the data, for submitting thesis into Shodhganga. So instead of going all the step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 steps, he can use just one page and click. This injection interface is developed by InfluMnet Center. So similarly, anyone who has a separate, who require a separate kind of injection, he can do it. Otherwise, you can use default injection of DSpace. So this is how the workflow shows. First, people can submit my DSpace, and if it is not perfect, you can reject it. Again, submitter will submit and edit metadata. Then also you can reject it. If everything is perfect, edit metadata, then add the item. That is merging. Now, once you create DSpace, how to access it? There are mainly two ways to search or get content from DSpace. The first one is called search. Second one is called browse. Search is that you can put any keyword, phrase in the search box and get it, like Google you are taking. But browse is that you can browse item in DSpace with respect to title. If you are going to title, you can browse title wise, author wise, date wise, community and collection wise, subject wise. So like author wise, anybody you want to see the author whose name starts with T or M. So you can type, select the M letter. So all authors starting with M will be listed. If you are searching by title, anything starting with M in the title, that will be listed. So browse, these are a very common thing, like how you browse, explore in your general computer. Similarly, the browse option is also given that. Then community collection, subject. User may search for any item in DSpace based on any double link or value or full text search. So they can have the full text search by using keyword, some kind of words, or the double link, or that is the metadata we entered according to that. And DSpace, every content is having a identifier. So suppose if I have a chapter or one thesis in Shodhganga, every thesis is having a number. We don't have a number for the chapter, but we have a number for the complete thesis. So here you can see that hdl.handle.node, that is an international handle server number, and we have an IR 1944. This is for our institutional repository, and 225, the last digit stand for the content. Like Shodhganga, we have the number, I'm not very sure, I think 16603. So that is what is going to be the number of the DSpace Shodhganga. Then rest of the number starting 1 to 1 lakh, 1,14,000 theses. So any of the number in between refer to a thesis. So when people are citing any content in the DSpace, they can refer to the individual item by using this handle. Then DSpace allows to share data by using OAI-PMH. Enable other site to harvest metadata from DSpace repository. So OAI-PMH stand for Open Access Initiative Protocol for Metadata Handling. It's a protocol for sharing digital object between servers. So if I make my repository OAI compliant, once it is compliant, the other repository will be able to harvest the metadata. Whatever metadata, they can take all the metadata content and put their server or put in their portal. So that is possible with the OAI-PMH. This is generally used for metadata sharing. And analysis of DSpace, if you use the login analysis, there is a statistics link which gives a lot of statistics. Amazingly, this will help you how people are viewing your database. We have incident 18,000 times one of the thesis is viewed, 18,000 times. And this thesis is not from a very popular university, surprisingly. It's from a remote university. So we don't know about the value of the content in the digital library. That can be analyzed only by seeing how many people are viewing it. So if everybody is coming to access one's content, that content is very important. So number of item archive, bitstream views, page views, collection views, community views, how many people logged in, how many search perfume, which are the keywords, all this can be put it in statistics. Sort and open URL. These are the technical simple web service offering repository deposit. It's a protocol, allows the remote deposit of item into repository. Sort is protocol can be used to take it and deposit it. DSpace supports for sort protocol via sort application. And right now sort version 2 web application is there. DSpace also supports open URL, and you have a lot of option to customize. Our module is getting over now. I just take you that example of Shodhganga. This is the Shodhganga screen. You can see whatever I mentioned. Search and browse is here. Search box is the 10 symbol search. We also have an advanced search with the goal. And this will, we have written a script to show that how many items. Today I was taking the screenshot. It was 1,14,102 full text thesis on our Shodhganga. And similarly, we have Shodhganga 3, which has synopsis, 3,488. And these are the university contributing, and I have top 10 universities. These are all customized in Shodhganga. Another example is Raman Research Institute Digital Repository. Then that is all about, you can learn more repositories. There are repository listing in the DSpace website. So I request you, as for further learning, go to www.dispace.org to get more detail of such repositories, or you can Google which are the popular 100 repositories which are created with DSpace. And Shodhganga always has used customization, installation, searching, new interfaces, everything in Shodhganga portal. And also we are using the scalable nature of storing. Any new, if our space is not sufficient, we plug in new hardware and the configuration such a way that it will start putting into the next hard disk all the content. And that is all about the digital library software, DSpace. And this case study will help you to evaluate whether you need a digital library software, or are you looking for a digital library software for managing your collections. And thank you for patiently listening, and thank you very much. And if you have any queries, you are free to contact any of our technical team.